Hi everyone, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. We're going to talk about the triple pass of Venus today. This is a part of a larger series of videos that I made for Venus retrograde during this cycle. The Venus retrograde cycle happens over a period about 584 days. And in that cycle, there are two positions that Venus makes with the Sun that are conjunctions. One's an inferior conjunction when she's retrograde and a superior conjunction when she is direct. Today we're focusing on the inferior conjunction because that's what we just had. This is when Venus is retrograde and the Sun passes her in the zodiac. I explained more about this in detail in other videos in the description, so check them out. But if you missed those videos, let me give you a bird's eye view or like a top level explanation about that. So Venus morning star is a very ancient theme of a lot of myths and iconography. This is when Venus rises before sunrise, so she rises far enough away from the sun to be seen in the early morning sky before the sun rises. And so the ancients attributed to her certain qualities such as youth, vitality, and potential. She was described as the mother of empire, and in Rome, she was the patroness of Rome and was supposedly an ancestor of some of its leaders. Morning star is associated with new beginnings, brightness, and an optimistic future. So as opposed to the evening star, where we have this full maturity and a more serious tone, the morning star is just bright, youthful, and energetic. What's special about Venus retrograde and emergence in 2025 is that she's emerging at 27 degrees of Pisces, which is only going to happen this year and in some way in 2033, which means that she is emerging from the underworld at the 27th degree of Pisces, which is exalted. It's the exalted degree of Pisces. This is very rare. This is also the year in which we have the second to last cazimi. That's when the Sun and Venus join together in Aries. And then the next one will be in 2033. And after that, we are going to move into Pisces with the cazimis of Venus and the Sun. This year we have Venus retrograde as well as Mercury retrograde together. This is somewhat rare. It does happen from time to time, but this retrograde pattern of Venus and Mercury is actually linked to the eclipses. So beginning at the position where the Aries eclipse just happened, the solar eclipse, and finishing at the position at which the Sun was for the Virgo eclipse in March 14th. Venus will turn direct on April 12th, but we'll talk about that later. If you want to know more about any of these features, I did discuss them at length in other parts and other videos. Here's some quick facts that you may want to know. After 2026, there will be no water cazimis in any sign until after 2041, when those cazimis begin in Pisces. In 2026, we're going to get a cazimi in Scorpio, but after that, there will be no energy resets for Venus, which is the energy of love, in any water sign. This is quite interesting, and I think it'll have far-reaching consequences on everyone. The Venus cycle is roughly 1,200 years long. That's the position at which each node, each of the 5 points of the Venus pentagram, returns back to its original position. These nodes drift through the signs and join together every 8 years or so. And so they kind of fall back through the zodiac in a retrograde fashion until they return to the original position. Each section that the Sun and Venus join in, which is one of the points of the 5-point star, takes 104, roughly 103 to 105 years for it to complete a full cycle. So let's talk about the Venus triple pass of 2025. This is a moment in which Venus will form 3 conjunctions with several of these positions and planets because of her retrograde cycle. This accelerates the planetary cycle speed. Normally, a Venus planetary cycle lasts about 10 months. This is because Venus's orbit around the zodiac is quite quick. However, when we have a retrograde motion and these triple conjunctions happen, this accelerates the intensity and the speed of this planetary cycle. Each time Venus makes a conjunction with a point, it's like a reset. And then when she comes back to that point, it's another reset as well. So when we have triple conjunctions, this means that these resets are happening one after the other, sometimes within weeks and sometimes within days. This type of arrangement has a lot to do with the past. So these conjunctions will be a reference point to things that you're finishing up or tidying up. The 4 points that Venus is going to have a triple conjunction with are its exalted position at 27 degrees of Pisces, its Saturn position with Neptune, and with the North Node. Also, at the end of April, there will be a very special alignment that we'll talk about at the end of the video, in which several key transits come together. So let's take a look at Venus at the 27th degree of Pisces. This is going to happen on April 2nd, 2025. But there was a previous conjunction that happened in January on the 31st in 2025. And there is going to be a second follow-up to this conjunction on April 24th, 2025. This is the position at which Venus emerges from under the sun's rays, meaning she's far away from the sun to see her in the morning light. Not all locations will be able to see her. Visibility is affected by a lot of factors, so just wait a couple days until you see her emerge. But she will be emerging at this position, 27 degrees of Pisces, around by April 2nd. She started emerging around March 31st. Some important energy that we want to be aware of for this conjunction is closing up lessons of Neptune in Pisces, because Neptune has just entered Aries, and we're closing out lessons from the last 12 or 13 years. This is an opportunity for love to grow in your life and for love to be reborn. There's also an opportunity for intense dreams and your dreams becoming a reality. So if you're having dreams, or if there's things that you have dreamt about or hoped for, there could be a very quick set of iterations that bring you towards that energy. There's also the opportunity to heal through love. So through compassion and through care, we can heal situations and improve circumstances. This is also the position of awakening. So many of you may experience sudden and abrupt awareness, awakening, or consciousness lifting types of events. You may gain important insights into your future as Venus passes this degree. This is a time in which you may attain a very high awareness or have high inspiration about where your life will go. So let's talk about Venus with the North Node. Venus and the North Node had joined together on February 3rd, 2025. Then they will join again on April 3rd, 2025 at 26 degrees Pisces. And then they will join together on April 20th, 2025 for their final conjunction in Pisces this year, ending the last planetary cycle and beginning a new one. Between April 3rd and April 20th, we get this mini cycle in which Venus is engaging in energies of looking to the past, addressing things that she wished had happened differently, or gaining new awareness on things that had happened before. Some important features of Venus conjunct North Node in Pisces are a major path may be opening up ahead for people, because the North Node is like a gate through which Venus enters and exits several times. By the way, I did a video for this and spoke about this at length on the Venus emerging as the morning star. I'll link that in the description below. This is also a moment of taking a fated step or fated energy becoming available. Big changes may happen very quickly in your life through those dates. This is a time in which you may make huge decisions about love. This is a time when you come together and understand your circumstances and prepare yourself to make decisions about the things you've been through. Another very important fact of Venus and North Node in Pisces is that the energetic frequency of your voice calls in the right people. So these energies, all of these conjunctions that we're talking about, are very beneficial and very healing. Okay, so let's talk about Venus conjunct Saturn. This is going to be one of the most important conjunctions that Venus makes in this series of aspects. On January 19th, 2025, Venus and Saturn made their first conjunction together. Then on April 7th, we are going to see the second conjunction as Venus moves retrograde past Saturn backwards. And then on April 25th, we will see the last and final conjunction this year with Venus and Saturn. What's important to note is that on April 7th, that's when Mercury stations direct. So at the same time as Venus moves past Saturn, we are going to have the end of Mercury retrograde. This is going to be signaling time to move forward with things. Important things may be communicated. But also, Venus retrograde stations direct very near Saturn. So when she does turn direct on April 12th, she is going to move closer to Saturn to make her conjunction in the third week of April. Some energies for the conjunction of Venus and Saturn that you want to keep in mind. This is a moment of fated connections. There's also hidden desires that may become unveiled. There's compassion and love towards the things that you desire that Saturn is trying to make manifest, or that Saturn has been trying to help you create in your life. And Venus brings compassion and love to that space in order to fulfill the things you've been working hard towards. There's an energy of sacrifice for love that is possible here, where a love relationship may feel a humbling of one or both people to make a sacrifice in order to make a certain thing happen. So such as helping the person, or maybe even to bring about love in a relationship. It's a really wonderful time to understand your aesthetic better. So if you're looking at doing personal changes with your appearance or how you feel or how you look, this is a wonderful time for you to take care of your aesthetic and improve your look or improve how you feel. Although I would say to go slow with any drastic changes like dyeing your hair or cutting your hair during Venus retrograde. When she turns direct on April 12th, that's when you can move forward with plans that come up beforehand. One of the most important aspects of Venus and Saturn together is that it brings about a recognition about what's important in a situation to do with love. So you may have questions about what's important, not clear, lack of clarity, or lack of full understanding. When Venus comes together with Saturn, it brings about enlightenment and it brings about clarity to understand what your motivations or what the motivations of other people are to do with love. When Venus joins together with Neptune, this is also very special. This is because this will be the final planetary cycle in which Venus and Neptune join in Pisces for 150 years or longer. The first time Venus and Neptune joined together was on February 1st, 2025. Then on March 27th, right before Neptune entered Aries, Venus and Neptune joined in the anaretic 29th degree of Pisces. And then finally on May 2nd, Venus and Neptune will join together in Aries for the next planetary cycle that will last the full 10 months. So between March 27th and May 2nd is this very short planetary cycle in which we go back on something, improve something, we get a second chance at it, and we get a second attempt at doing something that we want. Some of the areas of focus for Venus and Neptune in Pisces and later in Aries are things such as inspiration for future potential. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and so it's a very sacred moment when Venus and Neptune join together in these final degrees, the 29th degree especially. This is a moment where some of you may meet your perfect partner. It's a very good position for love and relationships and dreams coming true. It's also a time of finding magic in the simple things. So away from technology, away from the noise, out in nature, finding joy and magic in the natural world. This is a time in which some of you may find devotion towards something like a spirituality or a religion. This is a time in which you can tap into deep creativity, also deep intuition, and have psychic dreams. So there are 2 dates that are super important coming up in April with regard to Venus retrograde and her triple conjunction with all the positions we just talked about. On April 12th, Venus will reach the 24th degree of Pisces. There she will station direct and move forward. This station direct will happen conjunct Saturn, and so therefore Saturn's relationship to what's happening in Venus will have a huge influence. Expect massive structural changes in your life. Things to do with how things are done are going to change and improve. And it's a time for you to really address the things you wish to happen and to kind of make them happen by applying yourself to make them happen. Saturn will help you facilitate, create that kind of reality that you want. So it's time to go after the things you want and make them happen. The next very important date is April 25th, 2025. This is when Venus will be again at the 27th degree with Saturn. Notice that they travel together for a period of 3 or 4 degrees in Pisces after the conjunction on April 12th. So between April 12th and April 25th, Venus and Saturn are traveling together in the sky, which is sort of unprecedented. When a planet turns retrograde, they move slower. So when they're stationed, when they're near station, their velocity is slower in the chart. So this is why a planet like Venus that is quite fast may move slowly enough to keep up with Saturn. So they are going to be moving through Pisces together, move through the gate together, through the North Node, and end up in the 27th degree together on April 25th. But what's important about April 25th, and I guess I should have taken the chart back a little bit, is that at this position, we get a very intense syzygy, which is a collection of several transits together. We get Venus at 27 degrees, Saturn at 27 degrees, and the North Node at 25 degrees, which is within orb, within a couple degrees. And a few hours before this, the moon will be at 27 degrees of Pisces. This is going to be a fated day and definitely very important. I would say that it's likely a climax for Venus retrograde in general, and a lot of outcomes will happen around that time. I'm going to leave you with this now, and I will leave a tarot card reading in the description. In the next video, we're going to talk about dates, both in the past and in the future, and we'll talk about why this date, April 25th, is deeply connected to other dates in the recent past and what it can be connected to. Also, I will explain why this pattern is so rare and so special this year and show you what has happened in the past or what may happen in the future. Thank you for watching.